short week because I have to go back to Auckland next weekend for my brother's wedding. This is where we got to last week. This is where the starboard bow got to. It's all ready to have the sides put on next. This was the patch I put on Friday. Just got to plane that back so it matches this the scarfing here. I've cut out both side bits and screwed them in place. I realised another nice thing about screws is that you can put it back in exactly, you can take it off and put it back in exactly the same place because the hole's got to line up. Now I've clamped this onto the best end and can take the curve off that and then cut it out and trace it onto the other one. Actually, I realised I needed to trace both sides because I'm not going to cut it down to the line right away, but a little bit above. This is the gluing process. First, tidy up all the tools that I'm not going to use. I actually am going to use this. Then step 2 is take a coffee break. The purpose of all this is to maximize mental clarity so that I don't make mistakes while gluing, because it's a bit harder to unglue than it is to glue. And now I'm mixing glue. Do this with a mask on because we use the microfibers. I think it's a pretty good seal. Just checking now for, is the surface feel smooth? Like after it's all fixed, will you be able to tell that it's actually had a repair? Will there be a bump here? Oh, this one's angry. Sometimes when you're building a boat, you just have to do whatever it takes to get the job done. Don't cut off your fingers though. tool review for removing rot. So the best thing you probably want to start with is a chisel. For the softwood, that gets it out really easy. You can use it as a lever. The only problem is this boat is held together with, well, while gluing, held together with copper nails, and hitting the copper nails with your chisel isn't very good. Definitely need to keep it sharp. That's the tricky part, really. If you've hit a chisel, there would be a lot of work with this to get it back. But I touched it up on the angle grinder. And sometimes you need a hammer, and for the chisels, sometimes you can just use it as a lever. There's lots of ways to use the chisels, they're pretty good. I have two angle grinders. They're just the cheapest angle grinders. This one's actually even cheaper. That's 500 watts, but that's actually my favourite because of the action for how you switch it on is a lot more convenient to hold. This one's quite annoying. Push that in, and then push that in, and push it up. But then it stays on, but it will just pop off really easily. This one I currently have this this flap-based sandpaper thing. That's actually really good at removing wood, but just make sure you don't touch the fiberglass because it clogs up really easy. I'm using this angle grinder for fiberglass. It's gone all smooth. I'm not sure how to fix that, but it still cuts. But yeah, careful not to use the sandpaper on the fiberglass. I found a stack of these for $20, 10 assorted flap discs for $20. Haven't got that out yet, but that should be really good. And plain is actually pretty nice for shaping bits of wood that are going to go in for replacement. Just about ready to start on this end, and then I realised that the plywood core in here is wet on the inside, so I'm just drilling out to try and find the end of the wet wood. I've drilled a few holes through from the outside to probe it. Kind of hate to do that, but still easier than replacing the sides. Just broke a fairly big chunk out here. The backbone at the stem is wet on the inside, so when I get that out, I've removed the stringer so I can get better access. I cut it on an angle so I can just glue it back on. Cut it on an angle so I can just glue it back on. Broke off that part, and that was all pretty bad. Down there it's more almost dry. According to the plans, that doubled up piece of plywood inside the bow should go up to the stem framing, but then stop. Here we go, just as the plan said. I got it out quite heavy and wet, and has a fungy smell. I drilled some holes here to probe into the backbone. This one was dry, which is good news. It means I don't need to replace back down to the bulkhead. And I chipped out this thing, and it's like a whole, it's a slimy swamp in there. That's like the glue has turned to, the Reskin old glue has turned to mush. Well, there was was a wet streak up the corner here, so I had to dig around to find out what that was, and there was a patch of rot here at the top, and then I was like, well, I better see where that's coming from. So I ground back the deck here. That looked fine, and then it's got to get in from somewhere though, so I ripped off the fiberglass. Maybe it came down here and then pulled here. This is also quite suspicious. Oh, that's a void in the plywood where two bits joined, or two veneers joined. Then down the bottom here there's a streak of rot through here too, so I'm just gonna replace this. Well, I'm just gonna replace it all. I guess this plywood's gonna come off too. Clamped on a piece of plywood, and then I'm just gonna trace around the framing that still remains to get the shape it should be. And I'm going to screw it so that I can put it back in the same place again. The purpose of fitting this right now, of course, was to get a good idea of how much more wood I need. I reckon I'll need 2 more sheets of side, another sheet of 9mm deck, and I don't think I'm going to need any more 12mm for bulkheads.